As former Yankees manager Joe Girardi always used to say, it's not what you want.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen. I'm one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsoulias. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. With me, as usual, Brian McKeon. Brian.
I'm home.
Brian made it home. Brian made it home from Yankee Stadium. We're going to talk about his experience at the game and the game, obviously. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live, and also comment on our videos because that helps the algorithm as well. Today's show, obviously, we're going to recap the game and we're going to talk about the other division series because Detroit, Cleveland got interesting, and later in the evening on Monday, Padres, Dodgers got interesting, even though they didn't play. We're going to talk about that too, because there's some weird things happening. But first, okay.
Yeah, that's the reaction though.
I wasn't expecting them to win this game, but then, Rodon comes out pitching the way he did, and I thought, oh, okay, someone's fired up for the playoffs. Maybe this might turn into something different than what I was feeling. And he was good for the first 3 innings. And then what did I say? What did I say on yesterday's
One little
show?
hiccup.
No, but the other thing that I said, what did I not want to see? Sal Perez rounding the bases.
I mean, that's almost inevitable when he plays the Yankees.
And Rodon is pitching.
Did TBS make its rounds on the broadcast of Rodon after the first strikeout? Because it made its round on social media for sure. Is right after the strikeout when he does his little walk around the mound, he just stared back and said, "Let's go, boys!" And he pounded his chest. He was amped up for this game, and to start the first inning with striking up the side in order, he was ready to go. And then the second inning he looked great. Third inning he looked wonderful. And then it was this once again the bugaboo at Rodon. It was the slightest little inconvenience, and it was a pass ball. And that was it. It ruined the whole inning. And then he just collapsed from there on.
And it was also, why are you throwing your breaking stuff? Your fastball was working really well. Why are you changing things up? And why was Wells calling for that? And I don't understand why they changed.
He was amped up the whole time too, because the velocity too was higher than it normally is. He usually cruises around 94, 95. He was throwing 98, 99 the whole night. And people were noticing in the stands at the radar gun. Yeah. He was amped up for the start, and this is the frustrating part about Rodon, and it really bothers me because it's going to go down as a failure of a start. Mm-hmm. Yankee fans are going to remember it as a bad start. He gave up the 4 runs and not going to look at it positively. 3 1/3, 4 runs. But Stacey, I mean, as well as I do, he was electric the first 3 innings. Like he was Carlos Rodon, $30 million a year, Carlos Rodon. He was really good in those first 3 innings, and he won't get credit for it. It won't go down for being known as that game, but that's what really bothers you, right? And as a Yankee fan, I know a lot of our listeners know that too. It's a really, really tough game to watch if you're Rodon because, man, when you see a guy come out like that with that much energy pitching that way, you thought he was going to match Reagan's, especially with the way that first inning went, right? You leave that first inning thinking, oh, the Yankees are going to win this game because Rodon pitches so well and then Reagan struggles to get out of the inning. You think, oh, they're going to win. They're going to win this game. And then it didn't go their way from there on out. Lots of missed opportunities on the base paths. And here's why I think, though, and we can discuss this later on or here, I don't think I leave this game thinking the series is over, though. I actually weirdly leave this game kind of having confidence.
I felt the same way. I feel the same way. I have a note on that for after we discuss the recap of the game, because there are a lot of people just
sky is falling.
The sky is falling. Everyone's Chicken Little tonight, and it's just everyone needs to calm down. The Yankees have a day to regroup, and then they play in Kansas City. They were 50-31 on the road, and I know regular season doesn't matter, but they showed you that home doesn't always work for them, and maybe this is better for them going on the road.
Agreed. Completely agreed. And, you know, they had a lot of missed opportunities in this game. They had plenty of chances to go win this game, and a lot of missed opportunities. But weirdly enough, it was the kind of loss with a lot of positives that came out of it. Right? A lot of positives came out of this game.
Yeah. I mean,
John Birdie showed you they could play first base.
Unbelievable.
Made a lot of really nice plays over at first base. The double play was, and there were plenty of chances. That's what kind of bothers you, right? Is the chances that they had to kind of get the crowd involved and get up. The crowd died in the middle of that game, especially after the Orioles took the lead. And then he gets the double play, and it lit up again. And it was lively, and the crowd tried getting the Yankees ready for that inning, and it just didn't work because that just killed the momentum. But if you watch his at bats, that's what was key to me. He had 3 balls that he absolutely hit as lasers to the gap. They were just played perfectly, put in the wrong spot. He had a really, really good game at the plate, and I think it warranted another start. I really do.
So they couldn't get anything going. They had problems with runners in scoring position again. They hit into double plays in key spots. They were hitting the ball, but they were hitting the ball at people. You know, they weren't going up there and flailing at the plate. So that's why I'm not as negative about this as some people are. You know, they didn't look lost at the plate. There was actually contact being made. It was just one of those bad luck nights.
Yeah, there was traffic.
Yeah. It's just the runners in scoring position numbers are atrocious again, both games, you know, combined. And it's just a bugaboo for them. Like, it's just something that happens to them.
Like this, though, like teams have games that this is not teams do have games like this. This is not I'm trying to think of the word, but this is not an anomaly, I guess, right? Like teams have games like this where they struggle at the plate, they can't drive runners in, they wind up getting a loss. This happens, but I don't leave this loss thinking, oh, that they're screwed going back to Kansas City.
Right.
I don't. I think they had plenty of opportunities that the ball could easily bounce the other way. Remember, Kansas City has the one good inning where they scored the 4 runs. What happened after that?
Right.
Like, it's not like the Kansas City stepped on the Yankees' throat and really took over the game. They didn't do that either.
Yeah. Those losses are also frustrating when they have one bad inning and then they can't get anything going. The top 6 in the order through 17 innings, that's when this tweet was put up. They were 9 for 42, 2 for 14, 1 home run. Glaber, 3 runs batted in. So Glaber is the guy that's getting things going at the top of the order. Judge finally got a hit. It was an infield hit, but he finally at least got a hit and got over that hump, but he really needs to get going, or this is going to be a quick exit for them, because as we said, they need the other guys to contribute. That happened on Saturday. It didn't happen for the most part on Monday night. You know, Jazz hits that home run to at least to pull them within 2, but then nothing happens. And the ironic thing is they've neutralized Bobby Witt Jr. Both Judge and Bobby Witt Jr.
done nothing.
Done basically nothing this whole series. It's guys like Hampson, the 9th hitter that you allow on base, and Michael Garcia, who had 4 hits in the leadoff spot, and he's like the first guy since like George Brett to have 4 hits in a playoff game for the for the Kansas City. So it's that typical thing. Bullpen was fantastic after Rodon left. It was fine for Boone to use the guys that he used, because again, with these off days in between.
One exception.
Weaver.
Why was Luke Weaver brought in?
Right. That's the one I had an issue with.
I was complaining about it in the bleachers, and people behind me were saying, oh, but they have off tomorrow. I know they have off tomorrow.
Yeah, the Weaver thing bothered me too.
Weaver threw 71 innings this year. Why are you adding more mileage onto his arm? They're down 3 runs, and you bring him in with 2 outs in the 9th with no one on. I mean, what are you doing? Like, that just It's almost like Boone had determined in his mind he was going to use Weaver tonight, and he had to find a way to squeeze him into the game. I don't care they threw 4 pitches. It's not about that he only threw 4 pitches, because everyone's going to say, oh, he only threw the 4 pitches. It's the fact that he had to get up, stretch, get into his routine, warm up. It's a whole process. Why was that necessary? It made, I mean, can you explain it to me? Because it made no sense to me.
That move didn't.
Yeah, totally get it. In a 3-run game, what are we doing?
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me either. Quickly before we end the segment. So, as we said, we know going into KC having to win 2 instead of just winning 1, like, going in 1-1 is scary. But if the Yankees can't do that, then they deserve to be knocked out of the playoffs. Okay,
Agreed.
Like at this point, right? They were better on the road, like we said. They were 50-31. They got to Lugo in Kansas City in June. I know Lugo had like an amazing game against them in Yankee Stadium in September, but they did get to him in June. He gave up 4 runs. It's Clark Schmidt on Wednesday. Luis Gil is waiting in the wings, probably in case something goes wrong. Then you have Cole going on Thursday. Later. Yeah.
I didn't see them announced for sure Thursday though. And I think that needs to be discussed, because I'd handle this differently. I wouldn't pitch Cole no matter what on Thursday. If they have a 2-1 lead going into game 4, I would actually pitch Gil in that game.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what happens Wednesday. I would agree with that.
If it's do or die going into game 4, you have to throw Cole. You have no option.
Right.
But if you can afford that game, if you're up 2-1, I think you throw Gil in game 4. So in an elimination game 5, you have Cole at home or Cole for game 1 of the CS. I think you have to handle it that way, but we'll see.
Right. But for the love of Joshua Jackson, can we all stop being so fatalistic? Seriously, it's 1-1. It's not 0-2. Yeah. And I know we've been burned in the past by this core, by this manager, but again, it's not 0-2. It could be worse.
Every other team, every other fan base that's alive in the postseason right now is facing the same thing we're all facing. It's all 1-1.
Yep. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. Also reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday if you would like your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday. We do it every week, and we answer your questions no matter what they are. If you want top priority, you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You get into segment 1 on Fan Mail Friday, and you get text from us. You can text us questions, reactions to the game. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, let's talk about some of that stuff happening in the other division series, because even though we're not happy about it being 1-1, every other series being 1-1 is a rare thing and is a fun thing, and let's talk about it. This episode of Locked On. Oh, hello. I screwed that up. Live show. It's a live show. There we go. This episode of Locked On Yankees is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Explore those U.S. cities you always wanted to secretly learn about. Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city during the postseason. Maybe it's time to taste test your baseball competition stadium cuisine. Luckily, on Booking.com, you can find the stadium stay that's just right for you. And if you're going to Kansas City, you might as well try the barbecue, because I heard it's fantastic. No matter what team you're rooting for this postseason, Booking.com can make you a fan of any U.S. city. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts to cute bed and breakfast stays, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. And don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Yay, I didn't screw that up. All right, let's talk Tigers Guardians, because that game was intense. There was no scoring. Tarek Skubal was Tarek Skubal. He was amazing. And then something happened that shocked everyone.
Yeah, I had it on my phone as me and my friend were holding a chicken bucket and a beer in our hands in the bleachers in the standing room only area. Skubal, outrageous. He actually scares me if the Yankees have to play him at some point. I mean, he is outrageous how good he is.
Mhm.
And the key thing in the home run here is it's off of Clase, who's given up like a run all year. He had
Right.
one of the best years a reliever's ever had. Legit. I mean, you made the point a few days ago, and it's true. If it weren't for Kansas City's pitchers being so good, he'd be in the Cy Young contention. He was that good this year, Clase. And to give up a 3-run homer that late and get the Tigers right back into the series, it really is crazy how one play can change the entire trajectory of a series. Because I mean, the Guardians homer in the bottom of the 8th right there, it changes the whole way that the Tigers approach their at-bats and how they approach going forward. The whole thing. Stacey, I mean, this 3-run homer changes everything. It changes. Now it's 1-1 going back to Detroit. And if you don't think that fan base is going to be invested into it, you got another thing coming, because they're going to be ready and going for it. This is going to be the first home game for the playoffs in Detroit in, I believe, over 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while for them. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about that series so far is Cleveland comes out guns a-blazing in the first inning of the first game. They shock everyone. And then in this game, the Tigers shock everyone in the last inning by doing something that you don't, because you didn't expect Cleveland to come out the way they did in that first game against the Tigers with the way the Tigers were playing.
No.
And then you also don't expect someone to hit a 3-run home run off of Clase. So it was just, this series it's going to be interesting. I think it goes 5 games.
I give the Tigers the edge.
I
do. I just think they've got the same thing that the Mets team has going, except Cleveland's an easier opponent than Philadelphia. I do. I mean, the only problem is you can't let a game get, you have to get to Cleveland early, because the back end of their bullpen is so good. If you're down going into the 8th inning, you're done pretty much. I mean, I know that they scored the runs today, but Clase, for the most part,
yeah, that's not going to happen again.
That ain't going to happen again. Yeah, you got away with one. So like, you're going to have to really, really, but I don't think Cleveland has the star power that Philadelphia has, and the Mets and Tigers both kind of have that mojo going. And the difference is too, and this is a talking point that doesn't get a lot of reference, but it is true. One of the more underrated players in all of baseball, I think, is Jose Ramirez. The numbers that he puts up in the regular season every year, tremendous player, doesn't get the attention because he plays in Cleveland, but every year and he's not just a good player who plays on a bad team. He's a really good player who every year they win 90 games somehow. They're good somehow every year, Cleveland. No one knows how, but they are. Here's the only difference, though, if you look at his career, and I know we all kill Judge. Jose Ramirez vanishes in the month of October. He has had no big October moments. He vanishes in the month of October, and he's done it so far this year too. So they're going to have to get him going for sure, because he's a big part of their offense. I give the edge to Detroit. I really do.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So coming up on Tuesday, later today, because we're recording this at 1 a.m, Mets, Phillies, and Padres, Dodgers. But let's start with Padres, Dodgers, because while we were all stressing out about the Yankees against the Royals, something came out about Manny Machado throwing a ball into the dugout and Dave Roberts basically coming out and saying, almost making it seem like he tried to kill me kind of thing. And some Dodger fans are even embarrassed by this, but they sent video to MLB to see if MLB will do something about this and discipline Machado. The video didn't look that bad to me, the way he threw the ball. And I just think it's silly. They're trying, I don't know what they're trying to do, honestly, the Dodgers. I mean, this series is chippy enough already, and it was already chippy before that. And I just don't know what they're doing here.
It looks petty, and I don't know why you would try to give the Padres more motivation going into the next game. They're already at home. They already tied the series up by beating up by 10 runs. Why would you try to motivate them more by giving them fuel to the fire? All this is bulletin board material for the Padres. They're going to put a big newspaper clipping right at the front of their locker room and say, here's what they think of you guys. You watch that clip. Machado can easily frame that as, oh, he was trying to throw it to the ball boy. He missed. Whatever. Roberts stands at the end of that dugout. Stacey, it looked exactly like the way you said. Oh, he tried to kill me. Really? I mean, Dave Roberts played in the major leagues. I mean, give me a break. I didn't understand it at all. I mean, why are you filing a report like that? It makes no sense. And again, why are you trying to provide them with more ammo, with more fuel? Why would you do that? Do the Padres need more motivation? And now with Michael King on the mound for game 3 at home, going back to San Diego, Why would you allow this to happen? It makes no sense to me if you're the Dodgers. I don't get it. And let's be real too. And I know MLB doesn't handle themselves the right way all the time, but what would it really take for them to suspend one of the star players in one of the biggest series of the year in the postseason now? We all know how much it takes for the leagues to suspend players for a postseason game. It takes a lot. You really think they're going to suspend Machado for something like this in the playoffs? I mean, he's one of the stars of the league. Get serious. Come on.
Yeah. It's just it's going to be I actually can't wait for that game. I'm looking forward to that game.
I can't wait for tomorrow in general.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Yeah. And speaking of the other game, so we will see. Will the Mets magic continue in Citi Field? Maybe.
Manaea versus Nola. Philadelphia definitely at this point has the pitching advantage in this series. You're going to get Nola in Game 3. You're going to get Ranger Suarez in Game 4, and then Wheeler in Game 5. And I know they didn't get the win in Game 1 with Wheeler on the mound, but Wheeler was electric. He was outrageous how good he was. So if I'm the Mets, pitching wise, wouldn't be too confident, but that hasn't seemed to stop the Mets all year so far anyway. So that's gonna both of these games are gonna be fascinatingly interesting.
Yeah, like there's so much. It's more of for Dodgers, Padres. Yes, it's the on the field stuff, but it's really the off the field stuff. It's just there's so much going on there. Where the Mets and the Phillies are just, it's going to be a dogfight between the two of them.
You can't turn that. But the thing is, you can't turn that game off. You can't. It doesn't matter. Both of those teams. It's going to be a great day of baseball tomorrow. Or I guess later today.
Yeah, later today. Coming up, you spoke about bulletin board material, and someone on the Yankees may have given the Royals some billboard material. So we're going to talk about that in segment 3.
Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season off with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place all of your bets. Monday Night Football was a good one. The Chiefs wound up beating the New Orleans Saints, but we got another week of football right ahead of us, along with college football, the rest of baseball futures. There is so much to bet on, and you can handle all of it on FanDuel. And here's the deal they're giving you right now. You can get started with a $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. And Locked On Yankees is also brought to you by Gametime. Don't you love going to live events? If you do, you know there's something about the energy of being there that's unbeatable. I have so many fun memories at Yankee Stadium, created more of them last night, and I'm looking forward to making more of them, hopefully, in the American League Championship Series. And with Gametime, it's never been easier to get the best tickets available. They got a new feature called Gametime Picks, which is all the hard work for you. Instead of searching through thousands of tickets, Gametime Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only the absolute best deals and great seats. Gametime's super deal is fantastic. I also saw some incredible prices for seats I didn't think that I could afford. Plus, Gametime breaks it down into different tiers. So whether you want a premium experience or just the best bang for your buck, it's all right there. And if that wasn't enough, you now can get an all-in pricing feature. Just toggle it on and it shows you the full price upfront with no surprises at checkout. Plus, they offer the lowest prices guaranteed. If you find a better deal somewhere else, Gametime will give you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, before we get to your bulletin board material, I do want to mention this. I mentioned this at the end of segment 1, and I think I want to reiterate it just so the Yankee fans are aware. And we'll do this probably a little more extensively tomorrow. They didn't officially list Gerrit Cole as the Game 4 starter. They did list Game 3 for Clark Schmidt. Game 4 is still up in the air. And here's the interesting part, and I want to get your opinion on it briefly. We'll dive into it more deeply tomorrow. But for now, what would you do here? Would you automatically start Gerrit Cole in Game 4, or would you leave it open? Because if you don't use Heel in Game 3 and you're up 2-1 and you take Game 3, doesn't it make more sense to use Heel in Game 4 so Cole you have available for a potential elimination game? Or would you just automatically start Cole?
I would, I guess, if they're up 2-1, start Heel.
Yeah. Because you have that little bit of leeway, right? And then you get Cole for, if there's a Game 5, Cole will start in the Bronx. And also, it's not like you're starting a pitcher that you don't have confidence in, right? Like you think Heel can go out, like Heel's had a great year, so I think Heel can go out there and shove. I don't think it's that. I would be a little cautious with starting Gerrit Cole immediately in Game 4, even though he'll be on full rest. I don't know if you want to necessarily like blow that out of proportion immediately. I think I would, if they're down, you have no option but to start Cole. But if they're up, I would consider not starting him.
Right.
But let's get to your bullpen, your bulletin board.
My bulletin board. Okay, so I'm going to put it up on screen in case you guys didn't see it, because not everyone is on social media. But this is what Jazz Chisholm said after the game. It feels the same that we're going to win it. I don't feel anybody feels any different. We're going to go out there and do our thing still. We still don't feel like any team is better than us. We had a lot of missed opportunities tonight, so they just got lucky.
Shut up, man.
I think the quote would have been fine if he had stopped it at "We're going to do our own things, do our own thing." You don't have to say they got lucky.
No, bad job.
You could say missed opportunities, because that's true too. But don't say that they just got lucky, because
they can't feed off you saying you had missed opportunities. They can feed off you saying they got lucky.
Yes,
and they will.
Yes.
They're reading that on the plane right now, Kansas City.
Oh, they know all about it, because Michael Garcia quote tweeted John Boy's video of Rodon getting excited in the first inning, saying, "Don't celebrate too early." And then he replied to it saying, "We're not afraid of anyone." I'm like, great. The Royals are completely fired up. But as you said, they didn't really do anything after that 4-run inning. So
no, that's what made me more optimistic at the end of this game. And you're upset when it first ends, but walking out of the building, you think to yourself, they really didn't do anything following that inning. After the fourth inning, they weren't on the base paths. They weren't making noise. Was there any opportunity the rest of that game where they were making noise? I mean, they didn't have anyone. I don't even think they had a runner in scoring position following the fourth inning.
Yeah, the bullpen did a really good job.
The bullpen was great. And again, they weren't. Ian Hamilton looked really good. Again, the only complaint that I have was bringing in the closer for no reason at the end of the game. But overall, I don't think Kansas City put a runner in scoring position the rest of the game. Ninth inning, the Yankees teased you a little bit. They really did. I thought they had a legitimate chance at the end, and the crowd really didn't leave either. So you still had Yankee fans, being passionate, sitting in the building, waiting for something to happen. This doesn't feel like a failure of a night or a same old Yankees kind of thing. It just feels like a loss. They just missed opportunities. They didn't hit the time they had to do. You don't freak out over this game if it happens in June. You're freaked out because it's Game 2 in the Bronx.
Like you're annoyed because it's frustrating watching them play like that. This does not
feel like a failure, like a huge, oh my God, how are they going to recover? It doesn't feel like that. It feels like they lost the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's interesting that they picked Schmidt to start on Wednesday. I mean, obviously we'll talk more about that on Wednesday's show. But it's an interesting choice, I think.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. Yeah, I don't hate it either. So let's look at some comments while we're here, because we still have a couple minutes to go. I know you're all our everydayer, Jared. I know, Jared. It's depressing. It's okay. It's okay. We'll be okay. I think it's good we have the day off tomorrow. Or maybe not, because maybe some people will be stewing about the loss. But I think it's good for the Yankees to have the day off. And I think, like I said, I don't feel
dejected.
Yeah, like I don't know. I would have felt worse if they lost game 1.
I actually agree with Jazz's quote. Like, I don't feel like they're down for the count in this series. I don't feel like they're destroyed or anything like that. And honestly, I always say this because it's the truth. If any of you have had the pleasure of going to Las Vegas before, there is a reason why Las Vegas looks like Las Vegas, why everything's in gold and lit up and beautiful and bright. It's because they've made a lot of money off guessing right on sports and getting other people to guess wrong. Mm-hmm. And Vegas has the Yankees as a -170 favorite for the rest of this series. No other team is that heavy of a favorite. No other team. So the Yankees did not lose a lot of luster going into after this loss. Vegas doesn't think that this is that lopsided either.
Right. What did you think of the 9th inning? The choice of letting certain guys bat. Did you have a problem with that?
To what extent? Do you mean Verdugo or?
Well, I saw some people who didn't want Verdugo in that spot. I saw some people who didn't want Birdie in that spot.
I didn't mind Birdie because Birdie was Birdie was hitting the ball really well. I mean, the 2 hits that he had prior were absolute missiles to right field. The right fielder just played them perfectly, especially the one that went to the wall. And then Birdie got a base hit. I would have flirted with Verdugo, only because, again, I think Dominguez has more pop in his bat and a home run. But Verdugo got on base there, and Dominguez, you can't hit a 2-run home run with no one else on base. Right. So it's not like and I mean, I hate to admit it because he hasn't been great all year, but give credit where credit's due. Verdugo's been good Verdugo's earned his playing time so far in the postseason. He has. But there's nothing I can say right now to give you reason to justify Verdugo not playing right now. Like he's hit. He has. Like he hit well in the first game. He had 2 hits tonight. Like he deserves to play. So I mean, if there was a runner on base, I would have said Dominguez should have been in because there's more of a chance Dominguez runs into one and drives it out. With no one else on base and how Verdugo's been hitting, I think you had to leave Verdugo in. I think he made the right call.
Yeah. Yeah, I just found it interesting that Boone was all about going to the bullpen and getting all those guys in, but then when he had a chance to maybe get something going and change things up just a little bit, he didn't go to the bench. So I just found that kind of
I don't hate it. And also, if there's a runner on base and there's a chance Dominguez runs into one and he could tie the game at one swing, I agree with the move. But with no chance to tie the game and you're just hoping for a guy on base with how Verdugo's been hitting and Dominguez being cold on the bench. And also, Verdugo's clearly got some swagger with his comments lately and he's clearly got some confidence going. Why destroy his confidence right now in a game you're probably going to lose anyway? Right. Where you're down 3 runs and you're in the 9th inning. Like, why destroy his confidence? Well, down 2, I guess, at that point. Why slaughter Verdugo's confidence where he's been clearly confident lately? I think it was the right move. Again, runner on base, I would agree. You let Dominguez hit. But in that spot, I don't have a problem with
it. Jared, how is this team a number 1 seed?
They won 95 games.
They won, yeah.
I don't know how they won 95 games. It doesn't feel like it. But they
right.
did.
With the way they played, it felt like they won 85 games or 80 games, but they won a bunch of games. That's how they're the number 1 seed. And they finished at the top of the AL because it's just the way the year was. There were I think the Phillies had the most wins out of everyone in baseball, or the Dodgers, and no one hit 100.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't remember a year like this in a while.
Yeah, the Yankees had 94, the Phillies had 95. Yeah.
Wild.
Very wild. So tomorrow's show will probably be, mostly a preview of Wednesday's game. And we'll go live after Wednesday's game. But Brian won't be at Wednesday's game because it's out in Kansas City. So
unfortunately, no, I will not be able to make it.
Yeah, so it won't be as late as we won't be as late as this show was, but thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate it on a bummer of a night, but again, don't let this make you think that the sky is falling. Things are okay. It's 1-1. It's not 0-2. They're good on the road. Just think positively. Try to think positively. I know it's hard to.
Everybody else is in the same spot.
Yes, every other team is in the same spot at 1-1. So there you go. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees, your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. His episode on Monday, I believe it was Monday's episode, was talking about should they stop selling beer at baseball games because of some of the crazy stuff that's happened? I don't think so. No. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. That would be audio. It's also streaming on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.